La 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 la. I understand today you've been doing some graduation for some of the people you've been coaching.
Yeah, we've had two people up here today that have
Yeah,
done their level 3 and level 4 CI apprenticeships. Both passed with distinction. So yeah,
awesome.
absolutely great result. Over the moon. With what they've achieved.
And which part of the business have they come from?
We have one that works for myself in continuous improvement.
Yeah.
Did the level 4,
Okay.
and then we have a project manager that's in a local team in the southeast. That's done the level 3. And like I say, both got distinction. So really happy with that.
Great. Now, the viewers that may see this logo on the screen, Certas Energy. Now, I see a lot of trucks drive past me on the motorway. So, what is Certas Energy, and what is Certas Energy really about?
So we are the largest independent distributor of fuel and lubricants in the UK. So whether that be supplying petrol forecourts, we do aviation, we do domestic, so people who have home oil heaters, things like that. We supply that, and again, we also supply lubricants and things to industry, and
Right.
we also supply large commercial enterprises as well. So you think of like the HS2, we deliver most of the fuel on site to them,
Wow.
things like that. So it's huge. We are the largest in the UK by far.
And in terms of the organization, how big is it? How many employees do you tend to have?
Um, we've got around, I want to say around 1,300. We've got over 80 depots across the whole of the UK.
Right. Okay.
And around, well, trying to think now. Yeah, it's around 86, I think. And then and that's just in the fuel side of it. We've also got a separate lubricants division as well that have their own sort of sites as well that are separate.
So the trucks that are on the road on a day-to-day basis, how many of those trucks tend to be on the road full of fuel in their tanks?
Probably talking about 400 or 500.
Wow, that's a lot on a daily basis
Yeah.
as well. So I guess in your line of business, and you know, obviously with what's going on around the world, and the war going on, there's a lot around where fuel's being used, especially like you said, aviation. So one of the key things would be transformation and continuous improvement. So it'd be good to kind of understand, why have you gone into a career in continuous improvement, and the people that you were coaching, how come they're in the form of continuous improvement as well?
Okay. So with the start, I mean, like you say, we've got a very challenging time within our sector. We need to do more with less. So that's
Mm,
obviously why we need to look at continuous improvement initiatives to try and streamline our operations and what we do and how we do it. It's something that in the past, I guess, it wasn't really a requirement. It was a booming industry that, it didn't really matter about efficiency because it was quite easy to, as a business, to make money.
yeah.
That's becoming a lot more difficult, like you say, with not just things like the war and things like that. Just it's a lot more competitive.
I
Um,
guess even getting more competitive with EV cars and
yep,
electric motors, and people with the 2030 target of getting everybody in electric motors. That's not going to help, is it?
yeah, exactly that. I mean, something on a side note to that, we're now starting to push into HVO, hydrogenated vegetable oil, which we
Hmm.
run most of our fleet on
Right.
ourselves, and we are now trying to push that out into the wider market, and it's now becoming a much more viable option for businesses as well. As we've been doing a lot of lobbying with the government as well to try and help, because originally it was more than twice the price. It's
Mm,
now a lot more competitive. So we're kind of changing and trying to adapt, as well as doing other things like
yeah, I get a lot of people saying that, oh, we can't do continuous improvement because we're doing this change and we're changing here. And I always say stop for a moment, because transformation is the kind of pivotal moment for CI. Some of the tools actually help you get through that change. Now, is there much change in Certis Energy? And if so, do you feel CI actually helps?
um, there's lots of change continuously. Um, yeah, especially since I've been with the business over the past sort of 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Um, I think CI is absolutely vital in that journey. It's been a slow start, I'll admit,
Hmm.
but we are starting to make some headway, and people are starting to open up to to CI and what it can do to benefit the company. So yeah, our team is becoming more and more prevalent within the business, and we're getting involved in a lot more things rather than people just trying to do things themselves. They're doing the right thing,
Yeah.
but not necessarily in the right way and in that structured way that CI brings. So that's kind of what we're looking to do going forward, is kind of embed it more into the culture of the business.
Yeah. And I guess, whether you're doing containment actions in terms of, SOP, standard operating procedures that have kind of fallen down I always use that analogy of the PDCA cycle going up the hill. Yeah. And making sure that you wedge that circle so it doesn't kind of roll back down. And a lot of businesses, when they go through change, the champions tend to either leave or move department, and that somehow the wedge gets kicked out, and that standards tends to roll back down. And it's really important that you got champions like yourself that want to encourage CI, encourage continuous improvement, and start embedding that language and those tools and techniques. I understand that you went through, not full cost, you went through the apprenticeship program, right? Yeah. And how are you finding the apprenticeship program so far?
Love the program. I
Hmm.
think it's absolutely fantastic. I've struggled. I've had to go on a break in learning. That's again, there's been so much change within the business with what's going on, as well as personnel within the senior leadership team, things like that. So I've gone on a break in learning just to try and help settle that down.
Sure.
Um, but I am, as we've previously discussed anyway, wanting to come back on program now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think that the way that you teach the methodologies,
I will
and
touch on that.
yeah,
I think we'll touch on that. So I guess with the program itself, how have you found the kind of the tutor and the tutor's knowledge on the subject of CI?
absolutely outstanding. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
I've been really impressed. In my previous roles, I've taught sort of yellow belt and things like that, so I have had some teaching experience, and I thought it was really good, the classroom stuff, and the way that you kind of do one-to-one sessions as well whenever they're needed. Your tutor's always available for you. That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. It's been really, really helpful.
That's great. And coming back onto that subject in terms of how you finding your training, one of the key things, we've got some slides here, is that we obviously base the program against the apprenticeship standard. So the level 5 improvement specialist standard has a set of knowledge, skills, and behaviors. Now, from there we kind of cover those in each module, and then we go away, and at the end of the module we summarize what you've been taught. And in between each of the subjects, you got teach backs or you got discussion points. How have you found the online, not the classroom per se, but the online delivery and the tutor's way of delivering online training?
The online training, actually, I do like it. I mean, in some cases it was not clunky, but it went backwards and forwards slightly. But we've already seen the improvement there in that and the
Mm.
change in that. Um, excuse me. I think it's really good. I like the structure of it generally. Um, I think it's easy to understand. It's easy to utilize that in your day to day, put it into practice, and then feed it back into here and show what you've learned. I think it's really good.
Great.
I do like the bud system very much.
Oh, that's good. Well, the thing is, obviously, with change, we're talking about having a conservative government and then going to a Labour government. Now, obviously, with the apprenticeships, they're all changing this way. Before we used to have the IFATE, which was the Institute for Apprenticeships and Technical Education, and now we've got Skills England. Now, with Skills England, there's been a lot of change, and we're going to see more change over the year coming. One thing that we pride ourselves, especially Blue Line Training Academy, is talk to yourself, talking to learners, and actually understanding what the learner's experience is. One of the way we built the program, I'd love to get your insight on this, and especially for the viewers that are watching this, is that we have this kind of structure, right? And let's talk about this chart, right? Is that the first bit, which is involve, right? We say, right, first thing we want to do is involve you with the tutor. So the tutor may read something out, you might hear some words, you might watch some pictures, and that first 30% of learning is delivered by the tutor. That could be online, it could be in a classroom, but that 30% is first that knowledge and skill. Obviously, you're going to bring in the behaviors. Then we send you away and say, right, here, do some tasks. And that kind of brings your knowledge on that subject a bit further. So you get up to about 50%. And I know with the level 5, we kind of deliver statistical training, and you'll get access to Minitab, and you'll use Minitab. But the main thing that comes up is that last box at the top, the dark blue one, which is the 100% of participating in an activity, is only when you get hands on, what we call kinesthetic. It's actually what you've learned, now go and apply it. And we see that as we go along, because all the off the job training, we see the learners go away and work on their workbooks, do a lot of coaching. You know, while you was on program, I'm sure you was coaching as well. Have you got any examples of what you did when you was coaching with your program?
Yeah, we had a couple of sessions, particularly on process mapping and things like that. I've got quite a bit of experience with that. I used to do a lot of process in previous life.
Hmm.
And we got together and did some sessions, broke down process mapping and how it works, and how we want to set the standard within Certas to get that level across the board and get that consistency. Had a day session with the level 3s and 4s, and also some other people that were interested in it as well. We were trying to get everybody involved that wanted to be.
Yeah,
Um, Took them through it. We then gave them practical examples. So I think it's relatively standard, but we like to do the making a cup of tea.
yeah,
Ask them independently to put those together. Then we review them and look at where gaps are as a group, and then close them off and kind of come together and then complete one map at the end of it. So we did quite a bit of training like that.
yeah.
That was just one example.
And were there any subjects that you hadn't heard before, and you went on program and you picked something up that you actually thought, "Oh, this is really great. I can use this into my day-to-day work."
Actually, Minitab, it's something that I never had a chance to use before. It was always sort of watered down versions of something like Minitab.
Yeah.
I find it really helpful. Um, I'm very much a data person, so I do like that, and I really enjoyed using it.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, and then obviously you got Minitab and you've got SharePoint, and and you mentioned earlier Bud. So what your kind of opinion on using the Bud system?
I think it's really good for tracking, especially um, for me as someone who's managing people that are on program as well. It helps me keep track of where they're at as well. But personally, for me, it's for my level 5. It's good to find all of the resource there in one place. It's very easy to get to. It's structured into the different modules, things like that, and it's all self-contained, which I
Hmm.
like within a module, so you know when you've completed it.
Yeah, great. And obviously, you mentioned that there was some level 3s and level 4s as part of Certas. I'm not sure off the top of my head how many apprentices we currently have with yourselves, but just thinking about that, would you say that Blue Line have actually looked at your kind of training needs from an operational standpoint also? And could there be more opportunity where we could get more integrated to understand the operational needs to drive your training needs within the business?
Yeah, I mean we've had discussions in the
Yeah.
past about what we can do to kind of push CI within Certas and how you guys can assist, which was fantastic. And you offered support
Mm.
to even come up to Warrington, which is miles for both of us, and spend some time there. Um, yeah, I think that's the next sort of step really, is we can sort of start to deep dive into what our specific needs are,
Yeah.
not just within the programs of the level 3, 4s, and 5s.
And I think, with what's happening with the reform with Skills England, I think one of the bottlenecks potentially could have been certain things where people were put off because they had to do functional skills, right? And they hadn't sat English and math for years. Now it will open the doors for those people that actually didn't even kind of knock on the door because they had that fear in the
Yeah.
back of their mind, and they may say, actually, no, we want to do the apprenticeship and we want to learn some of the tools that you guys are applying. So that would be really interesting. So in terms of the apprenticeship that you've been on, right? One of the other question was, what has been your most memorable moment of the apprenticeship so far?
My most memorable, probably seeing my team members achieve and go through, learn the tools and put them into practice and see it. And I haven't really had to get too involved, if that makes sense. That they're now confident enough to put these skills that they've learned into practice on their own. And that's been one of the most memorable things for me, because it's showing that we're progressing as a team. and we're growing as a business as well. So
Yeah.
for me, it's seeing how they've progressed through the program and being able to put it into practice and achieve some fantastic results.
Was you able to sit on any of their kind of assessments, so the apprenticeship
I
assessments, the
sat on
EPA?
everything. I sat on the endpoint assessments. We obviously did the regular reviews and we had feedback. I would also have weekly sessions with them to
Yeah.
outside of anything with yourselves.
And what did you see from a growth standpoint? Could you see that over like several months that this person's either not just grown in by doing their apprenticeship, but they've grown as an individual?
You know, confident to go out to the business and set something up and have sessions with groups of people that perhaps they wouldn't have done that before,
Yeah.
and the apprenticeship's given them that confidence and the knowledge to go off and do it. And yeah, it's been amazing to see.
Oh, I mean, to be honest, that's why we do what we do. Because for us, one of our ethos is the learners at the heart of everything we do. And to be honest, that's where we flourish, and we love to hear that feedback. So that's really good to hear. Um, so how do you feel continuous improvement has formed as a culture within your business at the moment? Then,
The culture within our business, we're still quite early on in our CI journey, and we have
yeah,
hit a few roadblocks and a few bumps on the way. Um, Again, it was the lack of knowledge. People seem to be quite scared of continuous improvement and what it is, or they feel like they don't need it
hmm,
and they're quite happy doing what they're doing already. But we were struggling to sustain, which is what we mentioned
yeah,
before, and we're now able to demonstrate practical improvement with sustainability as well. So we are starting to make that shift, and we're doing a few things internally to sort of get this out there. I mean, my team we're now doing like monthly bite-sized CI things that we're sending out to the business.
yeah,
They start next month actually. So, and we want to try and give sort of practical examples of how they can use certain tools within their day-to-day life, just to try and get that awareness out there. And then we're going to start doing more local things to try and slowly shift the cultural change for the better. And we are making headway. Not quite
mm.
as fast as I'd like, but we are making progress.
And the great thing about CI, it's not like it's a new technology. So, for example, when you look at artificial intelligence in the last 2 years, it's jumped leaps and bounds,
Absolutely.
and it's really overtaken a lot of industry. Whereas CI is methodology, and whether it's 10 years old or it's brand new, that methodology is all about insights. And what I was speaking to one of the level fours, and it's their insights now are becoming the value. So it's those insights that they've learned through a practitioner standpoint. They can use tools like AI to excel even further.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's something that Certas are pushing massively. So, I mean, my last two projects have both involved AI.
Right.
Um, but again, like you say, it's the methodology to go along with it.
Yeah.
And we're using two different departments now collaborating together. And we've made massive strides in our last project with AI. Millions of litres saved.
Wow.
So
Brilliant.
it's huge improvements.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, really good.
So obviously we talked about kind of there's apprenticeships, but we also do full cost training, and that tends to be slightly different. But what would you say is the difference, and would you recommend an apprenticeship?
I would absolutely recommend the apprenticeship
Mhm.
if it's viable for you, if you can do it, um, because you get the time and the space to do it. It's within your day to day work. Yes, you have your breaks to do your classroom training as such, but it's part of your day to day. Whereas I found in the past, I mean, I've done full cost things.
Yeah.
You do everything in a week or a few days. It's a lot to take in,
Yeah.
especially if you've not got any experience with it. You could be exhausted at the end of the day and you may not take as much in. So, given the time and the space and to do it within your own environment, I think is massively beneficial.
Yeah. Oh well, I mean, Jason, thank you so much. One more question before we go. Is would you recommend Blue Line Training Academy?
100%. Yeah, I do tell a lot of people about you, and hopefully you will be getting some more people approaching you. But yeah, I would absolutely recommend you guys. You're fantastic.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, and
Thank you.
let's get you back on the journey for your level 5.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thank
All
you.
right. Cheers. Thank you.
For more information on apprenticeships, call or email us today. Terms and conditions apply.